Welcome to Raising Wisdom, where we embark on a transformative journey of enlightenment, introspection, and self-discovery. Here, we don't just talk about life's challenges, we embrace them as opportunities to grow, evolve, and unlock the true potential within. I'm your girl, Nico Sakari, the Mad Alchemist and your Zen Journey Coach, here to provide tools to help you nurture, align, and evolve. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Let's elevate together. What's up? High vibrations. Welcome back to Raising Wisdom, where wisdom is free. It is here where we embark on a journey of enlightenment and introspection. Together, we will navigate the complexities of life, seeking the elusive wisdom that enriches our minds and souls. So get ready to elevate your understanding, embrace life's challenges, and unlock the true potential of your being. I'm your girl, Nico Sakari, the Mad Alchemist, and your Zen Journey Coach. What up, though? Been a little minute, I know. Let me explain, shall I? How's everyone doing? How are you? I hope all is well. I missed you guys per usual. I appreciate the support and encouragement. So I went on a hiatus, okay, for all of Taurus season. Yeah, it started April 1st because all of April is my birthday. Period, point blank. So yeah, I went on this hiatus because I've been preparing to enter into this level of my priesthood as I've been preparing for my 40th year. So if you've been paying attention, there's a lot of really cool ascension and elevation processes that has been taking place for the Taurus specifically. Shout out to us. Also, coming closer into my being, going into intense release, reset, reclamation of my heart, mind, and spirit. Shout out to us once again, and 86 babies alike. My little Levi turned 3. Shout out to my nieces, Shantae, Mahogany, and my nephew, Big B, for graduating class of 2026 with honors. Also, my new young son, Braylon, shout out to him for him. Let me see, he graduated. He's going to the 9th, so all is well. And everybody that has graduated for 2026, I'm so very proud of you. I love you so much. My nieces, my nephews, my friends. Who else graduated? My girl Lauren, she graduated. I believe she got her master's. And my cousin graduated as well. It's been a lot of graduations going on. I'm so proud of all of y'all. Keep doing your thing. I'm totally here to support every step that you make. The world is yours, and keep doing your thing, right? So yeah. Looka. So I've met very wonderful people along this hiatus, along with new family members, and my gifts has expanded, and all is well. So I really hope and wish that all is well with you too, and I cannot wait to continue seeing all of the wonderful and beautiful moves that you all are making. Mind you, with all of the horrible news that seems to just really never end, I'm just proud of all of us. I'm proud of you for finding the silver lining in your journey. I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself, for staying positive and actively shaping your environment around peace, high vibrations, abundance, discernment, and divine protection always. And don't think that I forgot about y'all. I know what's going on. All right. Shout out to all the Geminis in the tribe. You know, I love y'all. I have so many Geminis that I know. I think I said this last year because y'all be popping up and calling for the kid. And when it's time for y'all to pop out, y'all pops out. It's very interesting, but I love it all the same. Parties everywhere. Shout out to you guys. I wish you long life, prosperity, and happiness. Ashe. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge something. This episode was originally from a different place in my life. Because remember, this was supposed to come out like before the hiatus, right? And everybody was like, all right, Nico, where's Raising Wisdom? Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay. When the spirit calls, I must answer. All right. And then I go into my deep little thing. I explained this. Y'all should know me by now, but I'm going to do better in regards to consistently dishing out all of these, the plethora of information for Raising Wisdom so we can continue to rise together, right? So like I said, like I was in a different space at that time. And I'm out of my cocoon. Okay. Wings are flapping. And at the time, I was no longer in a relationship. You know, we know all the tea. And I was exploring betrayal, rebuilding trust, nervous system safety, and just asking the question, when is it safe to love again? Because, baby, when I tell you, it was brick loads and brick loads and brick loads of healing, all right, that had to transpire in order for me to be in this space, to be able to speak to you about all the things that I learned in the process, my Lord, okay, and Savior, all right, within. You know, you know. So look, back then, the question lived in possibility, right? It lived in uncertainty. It lived in healing. It lived observing myself and trying to understand what opening up again could even mean after disappointment, because I wasn't going. After disappointment, after the grief, and realizing that I have changed dramatically, right? All those people please and all of the extra stuff, you know what I'm saying? We've been past all of that stuff, right? But it was more deeper internal things that had to be worked out, like from the roots. You feel me? If you're from the South, you know, from the roots of things. And that's what I had to get to. I'm so grateful that I did. So I can come back to you and tell you everything. So at that time, might I add, I was speaking from the side of distance, right? From reflection, from wondering. And now I'm revisiting this conversation from a different lived experience, and most certainly not because everything is just figured out or because I found some secret formula, but rather because I'm beginning to experience something I worked very hard to mold and open for myself. You know, it feels good. I'm not gonna cap. Receiving care, support, and softness wrapped together simultaneously. That doesn't happen often. Rest for sure, and witnessing what happens inside the body, inside the routines, and also just inside those expectations when safety starts returning. Because I don't want to erase who asked the question. We're not going to erase her. That version of me deserves to exist. That version of me asked honestly, from an honest place of yearning, of wanting, of curiosity, of mystery, of a void in things that I was not able to fully expound on before because I didn't have the entire picture. And I don't want to pretend that the answer appeared overnight either, okay? It's been a minute. However, this episode is not I found love, right? This episode is more so what changes inside of us when safety begins returning after betrayal. What happens when your body experiences something different? What happens when healing leaves isolation and enters relationship? Okay? That's the conversation. So, high vibrations. Let's talk. Okay, boom. So when is it safe to love again? That question sounds simple, but I don't think it really actually is, because usually when people ask that question, they're not asking, when do I meet someone? Like, when do I meet somebody new? When am I going to get my person? I mean, that might be something on the surface, but really they're asking, when will I stop expecting disappointment? Okay. When will I stop waiting for the other shoe to drop? And when will the closeness stop feeling like something I have to survive? When will opening my heart stop feeling dangerous? And I think that question deserves more respect than people give it. Okay. Because people love to say, just put yourself back out there. Don't let anybody ruin it. Just don't let one person ruin it. Everybody isn't the same. Don't nobody want to hear that. Everybody isn't the same. You know, don't nobody want to hear that, because what you went through is absolutely valid, right? And everybody may not be that way, but enough people were. Okay, let's just go ahead and put it out there and call the doggone grain of salt a piece of mineral as it is. Y'all don't mind me. Y'all know I'm a little nerd, so okay. Anyway, all the while that may be true, those statements can feel dismissive because betrayal changes things, y'all. Like real, like deep within. Okay, your body, the tissues, the very cells of your being, right? And not because you become incapable of love, but because you become aware. Your eyes are open. You notice more. You question more. You observe more. And honestly, that awareness can feel exhausting. Can it not? Put something in the chat if you feel what I'm talking. Put some white hearts. Okay, what's the white heart? Oh no, that's not the white heart. Put the red heart with the bandage over it. Put that joint down in the comments below if you feel what your girl is dishing out to you. Your body remembers everything. Okay, your body remembers, your nervous system remembers, your expectations remember too, because now your heart is not the only thing that's involved, right? It's all of those things. And that's where I want to begin, because I don't think betrayal simply breaks trust. I think betrayal reorganizes perception. And once perception changes, you cannot unknow what you already know. You feel me? I know you do. Because who finna do all that? Unless you just want to put some blinders on, which I'm sure we all have done to ease through the pain. But it is what it is. You feel what I mean? And there comes a point in your life where you're right there at the door of it. You have to face it in order to walk through into your next chapter. I think one of the things that I had to realize was that betrayal did not make me stop trusting myself. I made sure that it didn't necessarily change the very soul and spirit of me to transform into something that I never wanted to be, or to be a mirror of those that have wronged me or betrayed me. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you don't lose yourself completely. I can't say that you don't lose pieces of yourself, but shedding some of those things will be greater for your enlightenment moving forward, so that you can see where you are, how you can receive, how you can just be, how you can give back again, if you're even willing to do that. But it comes to a point where all these questions take precedence in your life in order to be able to have any of these things regarding love to actually come back, because you have to put the love back into yourself. I'm gonna get into all of that. Y'all know I'm skipping a little bit, but I love you, so I'm trying to tell you what's real. You feel me? So what was I telling y'all? Oh, the trust in myself thing, right? So it made me more aware of presentation. That's different, because after betrayal, people start telling you you got trust issues, and sometimes that's not actually what's happening. You know, sometimes what is happening is that you no longer accept things at face value. All right. You started paying attention. You started noticing inconsistency. You started understanding that words and capacity are not always the same thing. Everything ain't adding up. The math ain't daggone mathing, right? It is like, come on now, make this thing make sense, because if you try to figure it out on your own, you're also grabbing from the emotion that exists with it, and that kind of gets a little cloudy. So we're going to open up this thing so it doesn't feel like opening up your heart feels dangerous, right? Okay. When you stop taking things at face value, you started paying attention, you started noticing the inconsistency, you started understanding that words and capacity are not always the same thing, right? That realization is what changed me. Not in a cynical way, but in a quieter way, a very quiet way, very still way. I stopped assuming. I became even more observant than I already am, bless me. All right. I started watching what people repeated. You know, the pattern recognition increased immensely. I started paying attention to how people handled discomfort, and how they handled conflict, and how they handled accountability, and shoot, how they handled me. I had questions and I needed the answers to them. This isn't about perfection. It's the overall unspoken embodiment of love itself and how you show up in that. But because I realized love alone isn't enough, it just ain't. Because I'm a big blob of love, but that's not enough, right? And that was difficult to accept, because sometimes betrayal doesn't hurt because someone leaves. Sometimes betrayal hurts because someone reveals themselves, and now you left grieving reality, not fantasy, reality, right? I'm talking about eyes open, all right? Not still in woo-woo drama fantasy land, Okay. We ain't there. We moved past that, right? That's a different grief because you realize the relationship wasn't only ending, your perception was changing. And once perception changes, you can't unknow it, right? But here's where I had to be careful because awareness can quietly become hypervigilance. And we speak about that all the time. And those are not the same thing. One is safety. One does not provide that type of safety. Awareness says I notice. Hypervigilance says I prepare. Awareness says I observe what is, and hypervigilance says I anticipate what might happen. And after betrayal, those two can feel very close together, very similar, right? And you start thinking, am I discerning or am I protecting? Am I listening to myself or am I waiting for disappointment? And I think that's where things become interesting, especially what for me, because what I discovered later was that healing in isolation and healing in relationship are two completely different experiences. Yep. So let's move forward. Nurture, align, evolve. This is the work of coming back to yourself. Oracle readings and coaching sessions are now open at zenjourney.life. Your intuition already knows the way. I'm just here to help you trust it. Visit www.zenjourney.life to learn more. Y'all won't believe what I just did. It looks dark, doesn't it? Yeah, I'm so clumsy. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. My light, y'all. We just gonna be in the dark. I hope my editing skills is what I pray it is. Look at this. RIP, we had a good run. I tried to fix it, but it don't look like it's fixable. Yeah, because the little piece broke off. All right. Well, the show must go on. Moving forward. Oh. Just everything failed. Goodness gracious. Y'all remember our grandparents used to say good night? I've been saying that a lot. My grandma channeling through me, ain't it? She used to say that all the time. Anyway, One Monkey Can't Stop No Show. Moving forward, I want to talk about something that is kind of romanticized. Now, I talked about being broken open. I wrote about it on Substack. I'm going to put that in the description below too, so y'all can keep up, okay? Because your girl be writing, and I don't want you to miss anything. So this phrase, it sounds beautiful, and the process is. However, people write poems about it, make quotes about it, but being broken open doesn't always feel spiritual while it's happening, while it's going on. Sometimes it feels confusing. Sometimes it feels exhausting. Sometimes it feels embarrassing because being broken open isn't merely pain, right? It's not all just pain, but it's also exposure. You're exposing yourself and you are just completely exposed and vulnerable. It's realizing that things you weren't ready to realize is here and approaching. You're going to have to face it, all right? I think that's where a lot of people kind of back up a bit and start reverting back to the things that they once knew, right? So it's watching old expectations stop making sense, right? It's understanding that something didn't hurt because it ended. It hurt because of what it revealed. One of the hardest parts for me, right, is not losing, but seeing differently, seeing what I normalized, seeing where I abandoned myself, seeing where I made excuses, seeing where I accepted things because I thought love meant endurance, right? That part will humble you. I'm telling you right now, if you're going through it, experiencing it, or if you are on the edge and the brink of diving off into what all of those things will look like, it's going to be a challenge, and that's all right. That part will humble you, because once your awareness expands, you don't get to go back. And I think that's the part nobody warns you about. People talk about healing like you become happier. But healing also makes you more honest, a slick meaner. I mean, people like to say, okay, healing made me mean, but I see it more like it makes you more honest. You become less impressed and you become more intentional. You stop confusing intensity for intimacy. You stop confusing potential for reality. You stop trying to earn consistency. And for a while, that can feel lonely, because now you're moving differently than before. And people don't know that version yet. And it's not like you're just out here explaining what's been going on in your cocoon while you've been in the cocoon, right? You're noticing things that your old self would have overlooked. And sometimes you grieve that. You grieve the version of you that trusted differently. You can't never go back, right? Grieving parts of yourself that hope differently and that love differently. And I had to sit with something difficult. I wasn't healing to become who I used to be. I was healing to become someone new. That doesn't mean harder or colder or suspicious. It means more awake. And that changed how I approach this entire question, because eventually I stopped asking, when will I feel like my old self, and started asking, what version of me is being created here? And if I'm honest, I think that's where love started changing too, for sure. Okay, and so now I want to talk about something: healing alone versus healing in relationship. This part surprised me, okay? And maybe somebody listening needs to hear this. Healing in isolation and healing in relationship are not the same thing. Oh my gosh, it's not the same thing. I don't care how much inner work you've done. I don't care how much, oh, excuse me, y'all. I had a little glass of wine. I don't care how much inner work you've done. I don't care how self-aware you are in relationship. It will reveal things. Not because relationship is the goal, but because closeness exposes things distance never touches. And when you're healing alone, there's structure. You regulate yourself. You decide your pace. You choose when you engage, right? You choose on when you finna go outside and come back on inside to safety. You control the environment, and there's beauty in that. There's safety in that, but relationship introduces variables. Ooh, presence, support, receiving, consistency, witnessing, and suddenly things surface, and they will. Not because you failed, not because healing didn't work, but because your system is encountering something new, something that has not been experienced safely. And I don't think I realized that before. I mean, maybe in the back of my subconscious, it was just like, okay, there's going to come a time that isolation, I'll be out of isolation. What will that look like? Because I have such a system around my healing to where it works for me. It feels good for me. And that's all I have to worry about. That and, my responsibilities, my children, things of that nature. A part of me felt like healing would feel like a rival. Like one day I'd wake up and be like, all right, I'm healed now. I know y'all, I know better, especially in the line of work that I do. But baby, let me tell you, that's not what happened. Okay. What happened was I started noticing little things, small things, unexpected things, how I responded to care, how I responded to consistency, how I responded to softness, how I responded to being thought of, like really being thought of. And I realized my nervous system had so many stories I didn't know it was carrying, right? Things that resurfaced, blah, 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 blah. Things that resurfaced, stories about what closeness meant, stories about expectations, stories about support, stories about whether I could relax. So a lot of my work in life has been centered around being able to be comfortable in the best way possible, so that one day I could feel relaxed. I noticed something else. Receiving is vulnerable too. Okay, and we talked about receiving, living it and acting it out in different ways, will bring out different versions of you that needs a little dissecting from time to time, especially when you're not completely used to it. Receiving requires letting yourself experience something without trying to control it. And that can be so uncomfortable, especially if you've been the strong one, especially if you've been the one carrying basically everything, especially if independence becomes your identity. So I had to ask myself, am I uncomfortable because something is wrong? Right? Or am I uncomfortable because something is unfamiliar? Like, which one is it? All right. That question, that's the one that sat me down, because unfamiliar and unsafe are not always the same thing. And I think that's where this episode started changing. You know, when I told you that when I first put this together, I was in a different space. All right. This is pre-cocoon. All right. This is post-cocoon. Because I realized I wasn't only asking when is it safe to love again, I was also asking what happens when safety starts showing up. And that's a completely different conversation, right? And so we're here. When safety begins returning, like this part surprised me, because I thought I knew what safety would feel like. I thought safety would announce itself. I thought it would be dramatic, obvious, undeniable, especially because of the work that I do and how transformations show up in people's life. I'm able to see it, observe it. I know what it looks like. I know the changes that partakes in the situation in order for that particular client to evolve in the way that they are asking for. I thought there would be some moment where my body said, this is it. Like, you're healed, but that's not what happened. What actually happened was just way quieter. I started noticing little things, tiny things, things I probably would have overlooked before. I noticed moments where I wasn't waiting. I noticed moments where I wasn't preparing. I noticed moments where I wasn't rehearsing disappointment in advance. And that caught my attention, because I realized I had become so used to anticipating disruption that peace, felt unfamiliar. I'm all about peace, high vibrations. Y'all know the kid, right? But there's an underlining force, right, that consistently had me tense and on. I won't say 10, but we're gonna give it a good 7. You feel me? Not bad, just unfamiliar. And I think that's important, because sometimes people confuse calm with lack of communication and connection. Sometimes people confuse consistency with boredom. Sometimes people confuse softness with absence of depth. And I had to sit with that. Like, for real, sit with that, because I realized that my body had learned survival in places where it wanted safety, right? And that's not a judgment, that's awareness. Because your body is intelligent. Your body remembers, your body organizes around experiences. And when safety becomes returning, your body notices before your mind does. You rest differently, you breathe differently, you respond differently, you stop checking as much, you stop preparing as much, you stop reading into every silence, you stop needing to know everything all at once, because that right there is overwhelming in itself. Highly stimulated. And I'm not saying that it happens overnight, because it will not. I'm saying I started noticing moments, and those moments mattered, every single one of them, because they showed me something. Safety isn't only something that you just think, right? It exists, and it's how you manifest that around yourself. Sometimes it's something you experience, right? And once you experience it, you realize something else, that you can't force it. There's no way that you can. You can't manufacture it. You can't convince yourself into it. You just recognize it. You recognize it for what it is, like when you know type of deal. And that recognition changes the whole game, for sure. Not because fear disappears, right? But because I would say relationship to fear changes. Are y'all following me? Are you hearing the things that are coming out of my mouth? You feel me? What safe love is not. I want to say this clearly because I think we've been sold a lot of confusing ideas. Safe love is not perfect love, okay? Safe love doesn't mean never being triggered, never being uncomfortable, never misunderstanding each other, never having hard conversations. That's not real. You feel what I'm saying? Like that's not real. Safe love is not agreement. Okay? Safe love is not someone automatically knowing your needs. Safe love is not someone healing your wounds. And safe love is definitely not abandoning yourself to prove that you're healed. And I want to say that again. Safe love is not abandoning yourself to prove that you've been healed, because I think a lot of people do that. You know what I'm saying? They start overriding themselves, ignoring themselves, moving too fast, giving too much, trying to prove, see, I'm healed. See, I trust. See, I'm open. Look at what I got going on here. And that's not openness. That's kind of performative. Safe love creates room for honesty, room for saying, I don't know yet. Room for boundaries, repair, for communication, room for truth without punishment, without withdrawal, without fear of becoming too much. And something I've been also realizing is that safety doesn't remove your humanity. It can't. You still get nervous. You still question, you still pause, you still notice, but now you don't abandon yourself in those moments. That's different. This is for the woman who shows up for everyone, but doesn't remember the last time she was held. Return to Water isn't just a workbook journal, it's a sanctuary, a sacred space to grieve, release, and begin again. Inside you'll find rituals, reflections, and real healing, not just inspiration, integration. And for those who want to go deeper, the Return to Water Oracle deck is an exclusive visual companion. Come home to yourself. The water is waiting. High vibrations. The answer that I'm living now, right? If y'all hear background noise, my apologies. I got the windows open. It's all breezy and stuff like that. My neighbor's outside. Little munchkins are outside. So yeah, the birds are chirping. Anyway, okay, the answer I'm living now. When is it safe to love again? I don't know if there's one moment. I don't know if there's one sign. I don't know if there's a day where fear disappears and suddenly everything makes sense. And honestly, I don't think that's the answer anymore. Sometimes it looks like being considered. Sometimes it looks like support. Sometimes it looks like your body realizing it doesn't have to stay prepared all the time. And maybe that's what surprised me the most, because actively living it, it's a doozy. It's different. Really just being, but in relationship. Not that safety returned, but realizing that when something healthy begins arriving, you still have to learn how to receive it. You still have to let your body catch up. You still have to allow yourself to experience something different without questioning whether it's real simply because it's unfamiliar, right? Don't self-sabotage. Nobody really talks about that part. We talk about the survival. We talk about the healing. We talk about waiting. But what happens when the thing you prayed for starts showing up and your nervous system doesn't even know what to do with this kind of peace? Okay? You have to learn that. That's something that has to be learned within yourself from all of the work that you've been doing, receiving peace in that right. And what that feels like in your nervous system, right? That's a different kind of work. And I think that's where I find myself now. Not at the end of the question, not with all the answers, but somewhere inside the answer. And maybe that's enough. It's gonna have to be for now. Maybe loving again isn't arriving at certainty, right? Like, oh, this has to be checked, this has to be checked. You know what I'm saying? It's just being free and safe. Maybe it's allowing yourself to experience something new, right? Without abandoning yourself in the process, right? Keeping your boundaries. And maybe safety isn't destination. Y'all hearing what I'm saying? Because we developed this story, this vision, and although the universe is working for your good, for sure, that destination that you envision, oh baby, you might have played yourself so small, right? Maybe in relationship with yourself and trusting yourself and loving yourself, you are able to dish all of that out properly in the right way with life. And maybe that's where the answer begins. You feel me? And if this part of conversation speaks to you, if you've ever wondered what happens when what you prayed for finally arrives, I'm going deeper into that reflection over on Substack. I will definitely put the link down below for that. I told you guys, tap in, okay? Tap in. And I will for sure follow you back, because I believe in community, and I love each and every one of you guys for supporting me, for always being here, and I'm always going to return the love. Just shout me out, let me know, send me a DM, hey, this is what I'm doing, and I will definitely do my very best to support you as well. If you are listening from betrayal, I see you. If you're listening from healing, I see you. If you're listening because something beautiful is beginning and you don't know whether to trust it, I also see you too. Okay? I know it. I feel it. I've experienced it and been there. I'm going through it, and we are going to rock through this thing together. The more that I know, the more that you will also know as well, because baby, I don't gatekeep for nothing. All right, it's all of us, and we all we got. So take your time, stay connected to yourself. You do not have to become who you used to be, and you do not have to rush into who you're becoming, my loves. You are allowed to meet life honestly. I've got some great journal prompts for you guys, also will be in the description below for you, that will help you ask the right questions to get the right answers that you need from within yourself. If you feel like, I know they lying, what I was saying. Oh, so if you feel like you'd like to explore that a bit more closer, feel free to schedule a free alignment session with me and or a reading at zenjourney.life. Everything is open. Let's elevate together. All right. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I will be out more frequently. I'm out of my cocoon. I'm all here for you guys. I have 10 episodes just lined up, ready to talk about the good stuff. Moving forward in Raising Wisdom, I have been working on a grimoire, and I will be discussing things on Raising Wisdom pertaining to that grimoire. And what else was there? I'm happy to be back. I'm not going to cry, because you guys know I'm a crybaby, but I'm really happy to be back. I was waiting for my mojo to return, because when spirits say move, I'm gonna move, and be still, I'm gonna be still. You feel me? And I hope you guys don't penalize me for that. But the things that I have lined up for us, okay, I'm super excited. Stick with me, stay with me, and I wish all of you guys nothing but beauty and light. In a world where gossip rules, I am so grateful that you've come back to shine the gems on your crown here on Raising Wisdom, where wisdom is free. Have a beautiful rest of your week. Love with light. Peace. Oh, and you better make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Tell your mammy and your pappy and your homegirls and your partners and your besties and your cousins and them to come check out Raising Wisdom, so they can go ahead and listen with us. Ashe, ashe, ashe-o. Later.